Hey Technofreaks, Teknoodin here, continuing the character breakdowns for Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. This time we go talk to a wall with Squall. Oh, god damn it, that rhymed.
Let's just do what we gotta do.
An assassin, Squall uses explosive rhythm to turn his opponents into dust. This is done through the unique ability, the trigger system. Like his game of origin, Final Fantasy VIII, Squall can boost the damage of his gunblade by pulling the trigger. This is done by tapping the BP attack button as his attacks land. Now before we go on to the BP attacks, I'll mention that you cannot trigger the initial inputs, but every after that can be triggered, bar from his back and background. BP attacks are as followed. His neutral ground solid barrel is a 4-input attack that has Squall slash 3 times with his gunblade before ending with a flurry of strikes, sending the opponent flying for the wall rush. Trigger timing is quite quick, so try to get at least the last trigger, as that flurry will give some nice damage. Which, if you want a comparison, it's only 40 points less than a base cloud neutral. The move itself is a double-edged sword, as you don't really move a great distance, which can leave both you and your opponent at the mercy of everyone else. Still, it does move you, and with that flurry, does allow enough time for team setups. His forward ground, upper blues, or uppercut blues as it's now known, is another 4-input attack, where Squall slashes at the opponent 4 times, sending them flying for the wall rush. The move advances forward with each hit, so it's great to peel away an opponent from the group, and this is a way simpler rhythm for the trigger. Once you get it down, it will be one of your main go-to attacks. His backwards ground, Thunder Barret, has Squall create a line of lightning bolts that draws the opponent to you. When it lands, it will allow you to cancel into either solid barrel or upper blues. The range is just on the line between zones 1 and 2, and while tracking isn't that great, the move can be useful to pluck someone out of their attack string and then beat them down. Plus, it's really devastating near a wall. His neutral Gnashing Fang has Squall do 3 slashes followed by a frenzy of stabs before sending the opponent flying for the wall rush in the opposite direction of when you started the attack. Once again, this is similar to Solid Barrel in the sense of it has a strict timing for your trigger. So again, try to at least get the last trigger if you can. This move is a great setup move and a great interception tool, taking the opponent out of the scuffle and potentially saving a teammate. His forward air Savage Claw is the aerial version of upper blues, both in attack animation and trigger timing. So again, this will be more of your go-to move to isolate opponents. His backer Brutal Shell, or Devastating Slug, has Squall dash in at great speed to deliver a slash on the opponent. Once again, like Thunder Barret, range is in line between zones 1 and 2 on your radar, and like I said, it can't be triggered, but it will allow you to cancel into either Gnashing Fang or Savage Claw. This is one of your main openers as it has decent poise, so will cut through a marksman's attack. Adding that ability to a combo will cause some brutal devastation. His dash attack, Keen Edge, is very similar to Cloud's Cyclone Rush, as it has Squall dash in and spin twice with his gunblade. Once again, this is a great get-in tool, as it has decent poise. Use this to intercept those trying to get away. For HP attacks, we start with Fated Circle, his second limit break, turned to default HP attack. This has Squall spin around in a circle, releasing powder around him. Then Squall ignites, creating a 360-degree explosion. On the ground, it's horizontal, while in the air, it becomes vertical. It's fast, and as I said, hits 360 degrees around him, making it great for multi-incaps, and a great get-off-me tool. His second HP attack is Rough Divide, his first limit break. Wait. What? This move has changed since its PSP days, as it now accurately resembles the move, and has Squall bring his gunblade into the air, creating a huge pillar of light in front of him. The move has a great vertical hitbox and is still quite quick. Not as fast as Fated Circle, but quick nonetheless, and has some amazing tracking, plus it deals a tiny amount of BP damage before the HP damage, allowing for breaks either normally or, more conveniently, off an ill-timed recovery for a summon attack. His third HP attack is Blasting Zone. Finally, they got the order right! Blasting Zone acts like a wave move, but without any tracking whatsoever, and the move can be charged to extend the length of the beam. At level 1, the max range is Zone 2 on your radar, with level 2 bumping the max range up to the line between Zones 2 and 3, and finally with level 3 that boosts the max range inside Zone 3 of your radar. Which sounds great on paper, but when you compare it to the majority of other wave moves, where the max ranges average to between Zones 3 and 4, and they have tracking. However, this does have a neat trick of the beam itself, when directly above Squall's head, actually hits the opponent, so that might be useful against dive bombers. His fourth HP attack is his most powerful and iconic attack, Ultima. The Teknoodin isn't my most powerful and iconic attack, the Lionheart. Most iconic attack! Ultima is a long-ranged attack, which is something that Squall lacks in his BP arsenal. This has Squall create a small yet fast explosion that lasts for quite a decent time once it goes boom. But don't think, yes, unlimited explosions, as there's a catch. Just like in FF8, in order to use a spell like Ultima, first you must draw the spell from your opponent, which will give you a 1 per use draw stock of the Ultima spell to use. Draw range is unlimited, while the Ultima spell itself has a max range of Zone 3. Best part of this move is the moment Ultima lands, you can still draw from the opponent, even when they are invulnerable to attacks. Hence why it can be kinda spammy. Hell, you can even draw from them right up until they disappear from an end cap. As for which one is the best, honestly, I go with anything but Blasting Zone. Fated Circle is so quick it can just be thrown out and is great for short bursts of damage. Rough Divide, while a tad slower, is still capable of ending combos off a wall rush, and as stated, it deals BP damage, which is always a good thing. Plus, the vertical uplift of the opponent can come in handy for his unique EX skill, but more on that in a sec. Ultima is the only natural source of a longish ranged attack, and the move itself is almost Maelstrom level of spam worthy. Blasting Zone to me is an interesting move, but it just pales in comparison to his other moves. It's basically Kefka's Hyperdrive without the things that make Hyperdrive so good. It's too slow to combo into, you have to charge it to max just to be on par with your average wavelength, and without the beam's ability to track a target, switching is too high risk for that little payoff. It's just overall inferior to both other wave attacks and Squall's personal HP attacks, in my opinion. His unique EX skill, Draw and Junction, sits on a 45-second cooldown, with an active time affected by the distance you are from your opponent when you use it. Being on the line between zones 1 and 2 or closer will give you the maximum of 30 seconds, while being within zone 2 to the line between zones 3 and 4 will grant you 20 seconds. And anywhere else beyond that will just grant you 10 seconds. The skill itself acts similar in concept to how Ultima works. Squall will draw a spell from his opponent, only this time instead of using the spell as a weapon, he uses the more complex part of FF8 and junctions it to himself, buffing both himself and any ally within zone 2 of his range, with the buff dependent on the class he draws from. If he draws from a marksman, Squall will gain a BP regen of 15 BP per second, with the allies gaining a 10 BP per second regen. Drawing from an assassin will give Squall a decent movement speed buff, with the ally gaining a lesser speed buff. Drawing from the Vanguard will grant a 15 HP per second regen for Squall, and since it's mirroring the BP regen, I educational guess a 10 HP per second regen for allies. And finally, Specialists gives a random one of the three. This is where Rough Divide comes in. Due to the vertical knuckle, landing the draw after a Rough Divide guarantees max time. Plus, just like Ultima's draw, you can draw right up until they disappear from the incap, which when paired with Ultima, you can draw both the Ultima and the Junction buff before the opponent disappears, if you're quick enough. With General EX skills, I personally go for either meta paired up with Sloga or Bindger. Sloga because, like with Poisonga, it's just a generally great skill. But I do lean more towards Bindger because, like with Jekt, Squall's self-combo potential is really good, and because Bindger resets the wall rush counter, this allows Squall to get an extra wall rush in, earning him up to complete in-cap amounts of BP, depending on trigger timings. There are also a lot of players running Mighty Strikes and Ren Shield for that fast and easy big boy damage. As for team comp, it really doesn't matter. Squall, being Squall, is kind of a lone wolf character, as he excels in the 1v1 but not so great getting ganked. So really someone who can take the pressure off him, if that happened. I'd say you could pair him up with Vayne, as the buffs from Vayne's EX skill give you more damage and speed to go on with what you've got, and someone with a lot of crowd control, insert crowd control marksman here. Overall, I want to say Squall is great and a dangerous threat, and in either an offline or stable online environment, he has the potential to be one, but this game isn't stable at all. Hell, we are so far into the game's life now, with no sign of improvements or anything being in the works, that it may never be stable, and that's a big crying shame here. I said in my Kane video that lag kills some of the characters' momentum. Some can deal, and others straight up can't, and while Squall can hold his own, he is a character with a near enough pointless gimmick online, in my opinion. At one point since the game came out, his damage was completely locked behind this mechanic that just doesn't work in the janky lagfest that is online, and that the only way to really make him viable was to make the trigger hardly impact his damage at all, making it almost irrelevant. But those who want that extra damage will either miss out due to mistimed rhythm, or in the worst cases of the online spectrum, drop the attack string entirely, giving the opponent a chance at retaliation. And this is why we need something done. Dedicated servers, a revamped netcode, anything. Because we have characters and mechanics that are completely crippled by this peer-to-peer online format. And no amount of minor stabilization tweaking or matchmaking algorithms will fix that. But at the same time, there isn't enough people playing for them to actually warrant taking action. This game ticked a lot of fans off, to the point where they never even wanted to play it. I think that's a problem. I think people really need to give the game a chance. There's a free version, and with more people playing the game, it'll add people with better connections in more closer regions, and it also gives Square Enix an actual reason to fix the problem. Ubisoft didn't fix For Honor because no one played it at the beginning. Ubisoft fixed For Honor because there was a jack ton of people playing it and then it dropped. That's the thing we need to keep in mind. More people playing and dropping it is better than no people playing it at all. But until that happens, you kind of want to put focus on your opponent and not worry too much about the trigger timing. If it happens, it will happen. Squall is good at isolation, so get a straggler and take them away from the opponent. If you are running Binder, you can go for the max damage if good enough, but double wall rush or wall rush HP attack is fine. I can't state it enough, but keep it on the 1v1 or a ganking situation that's in your favour. Squall really doesn't have much to rely on when it comes to ganks himself. So teammates, if you have a Squall on your team who takes a straggler away from the fight, do not let one of the other two opponents go and gank him. Take one of the three, beat him down, then go and help your teammates. Keep all this in mind, and you'll show that maybe, just maybe, you're a lion.
Mission accomplished.
Okay, that's it for today's breakdown. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell thingy, and share this video. Also, if you have any tips and tricks you found yourself, please share them in the comment section below. And finally, tune in next time where you'll regret having met me with Ultima. But until that day, this has been Teknoodin. Take care.